He doesn't let
So
Sam go though.
yeah, so he's no, his Sam's not going
And,
anywhere. But
I'm
he'll let.
basically Corey's shadow. Like the only thing I can do is just stay in his draft right now and make sure that like I can
So
still go toe to toe with him.
last corner,
It's the last
400 to
corner.
go, and we're hitting that last little hill. I think Corey does one of the most brilliant things here. All right, so hi and welcome to NorCal Cycling Videos. Today, Jeff, Linder, and I both have a special treat. We are going to talk about the first road race of the year, and we have special guests Justin Williams
Hey everyone.
and Luke Lamperti here to talk to us. Luke?
Hello, everybody.
So we're going to do this a little different than normal. For the most part, it's usually Jeff and I just kind of rambling about what we think was happening in the race and what we think the other teams were talking about. But today, we're all going to be able to talk about what actually happened. So Justin and Luke are both going to give us the perspectives from their team. Justin, you guys brought a big team. And Luke, how many team members did you bring?
Just myself.
So we've got some pretty unique perspectives here. All right, so before we get rolling today, today we are brought to you by Specialized, which I do believe all of us here are lucky enough to be fully on the Specialized kit. We get to race some of the greatest products on the planet, and I think as anybody else knows, Specialized makes a complete line of everything tip to tail, from fast bikes like we race, to mountain bikes, kids bikes, and all the accessories that you need in between. Right now, as you can tell, we're being brought to you on Zoom, which means the world is upside down and everything is crazy. And so during this time, Specialized is actually doing a pretty cool promotion. They are actually taking all of their sales that they make online, anything that you buy on there, and have it clicked and collected, where you buy it online and it's shipped to your local dealer. All of that profit goes back to your local dealer. So Specialized is making sure that we're supporting all those retailers that we end up popping into, grabbing a coffee, sitting on the couch, asking for air, going back to the mechanic and stealing tools. We're making sure that we keep those guys running and supporting them. So Justin, you get to run a lot of Specialized products. What would you send people out to go buy online from Specialized.com and pick up in their store?
Yeah, man, maybe some tires. I think that's something that when I was younger I didn't pay much attention to, and I think when you're on good fresh tires, man, you always feel really good. So I think that would be my go-to.
And right now, while everybody's running those on the trainer, just burning through tires on
Just
the back, it's
just
a good
ruining
time.
tires.
Luke, what about you? Where's your local shop?
Yeah, for me, that's NorCal Bike Sport in Santa Rosa. So,
Oh yeah,
good local
up there
dealer.
with Glenn.
Glenn Fant,
cool.
yes.
Yeah, for sure. So make sure everybody, we're really appreciative to be on all of our product. Let's make sure that we're supporting our local dealers. And so, like I said, anything that you buy right now at specialized.com and have it clicked and collect, you can pick it up in your local store, and all of those profits are going to go to support your local retailers. Cool? So, should we talk about some racing?
Let's do it. I think you're gonna ask me how many times I've done this race.
Yeah,
Which is
well,
one.
yeah, Justin, how many times have you done this race? One time.
This is my first one. So I was relying on Tyler for all of the local information and knowledge.
So you're being your first time up here. Then why don't you do the honors? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the course? You got to come see it blind and experience it for the first time. What is the course like?
So if I had a better understanding of the course, I would have probably run a little bit less tire pressure. I think that was like the one thing that I noticed right away. There were a couple. It was a really cool course, like super flowing. There was a lot of fast sections, which I was like totally into. There were a couple of sections that were really challenging as far as like positioning would help. Like when you went over the feed zone climb, or the little bump that's the feed zone, and then you drop down into that massive chicane, and then like the next like maybe mile I thought was like pretty important. Like if you were at the front, you could kind of like decide how hard you wanted to ride. And I thought that was kind of cool. And then you warned me when that bridge was coming, and that bridge was like crazy. You're like, dude, there's gonna be bottles everywhere. Just go to the front.
I forgot about that.
And literally, I rode to the front, and then I just saw bottles everywhere. And you came up next to me. You're like, told you.
Told you.
So that was really good. And then there was like another section that was like this long straightaway before the home straightaway, and that to me that was the most challenging. It was like a little bit crosswind, but you were already like you're pretty gassed after coming through that little double roller section and out that right. So toward the end of the race, like that started being the hardest section for me.
Yeah.
And then it was the finish. But it was a really good course. I thought it suited a bunch of different type of riders. And that's like the best part of those are the best road races and the coolest road races for me. So like I would definitely be back.
Yeah, I think that's totally it. Like when you look at the course profile, or even when you like see the the elevation gain afterwards, it's not a climby race, but it's super selective. You get guys, like you and your brother that can make it to the end of this, but then you also have much better climbers that also make it around. And like it's one of those courses that, because the crosswind and the consistent rolling, it just beats everybody up. Luke, you said you've done this 3 times now?
Yeah, 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah, it's and that's another thing too. You're used to a lot of the roads that we've got up here. What's the road surface like out at Snelling?
Yeah, I mean, this year wasn't too bad because I actually was on a Roubaix, so it felt like nothing. It was like glass out there, but
I saw that. I was jealous.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's pretty similar to home. Like most of the roads I'm training on is similar, but it's definitely not the best pavement.
Yeah, Justin mentioned there that like the last 2 miles I think of the course is always the worst. You take that left-hand corner, and then from there effectively to the finish line is just chunder. It's like going over cobbles.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's pretty bad. It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, what PSI were you guys running, and what width tires?
For me, I was running 26s with, I think I ran like maybe 90, which was too much. Like we have like 2 different, we have the option to run tubeless and the option to run a tube, obviously, with the turbos. And at that race, I should have been running tubeless. That would have been better, but I was just running tubes and didn't want to run them too low. Bad decision, bad call, rookie mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was on the Turbo 26 tubulars with, I'd say probably around 85, but they're always
I was so
always
jealous.
a good go-to.
Yeah, there's a lot of like course knowledge, like you guys mentioned, that for you, Justin, if you didn't know the course coming out there, like you don't really know unless you ask around before the race.
Yeah, no. I had a quick conversation with Tyler about it, and like that was all I had. It's a race that I knew would be fast. Like I thought the average speed would be a bit higher, and I knew there would be a lot of attacking. So like it's kind of tricky. I don't like running me personally, I don't love running lower pressures when I know there's going to be a ton of accelerating, because I'll take the beating of the like pavement and have that little bit more snappiness. So yeah, we'll see. Next year will be different. I wish I had 80 psi and some tubies. That'd been awesome.
Just floating. So when we're thinking about the race then, I think one of the cool things about this is between our 3 teams, between Jeff and I on Team Mike's Bikes, between Justin and your team, and then between Luke's team, between Luke's team, just
Team Luke.
We've really got some different perspectives, right? So maybe let's start with that. Justin, you guys came and you brought a pretty good A squad, I'd say, and you had some big sprinters. So what was the strategy for you guys, and kind of how did you identify competitors that you guys were really really going against?
We just went into it with a plan. Tyler's like really good at the race. Like there's different kinds of racing, right? So like obviously Tyler and even Lance, like they race a lot more in NorCal, so we knew the racing would just suit them more. Plus it's a road race, so we know that there's going to be a selection at some point of the race. So we just basically tried to keep Tyler out of trouble, and he gets like, you guys race really hard the whole race, right? In NorCal, it's like you guys race hard the whole race, and then at the end of the race, it's whoever's there battles it out for the finish. And like he always has that mindset, and we have to remind him like, no, like let me do the dirty work, let Thomas do the dirty work, and then you and Corey save it for the end, and then we'll have Lance kind of facilitating. That's like, if something's important, he needs to be in it, or he needs to close the gap, right? So we went into it with that kind of mindset. And then we also had Isaiah, who's like, Isaiah's from NorCal also, so he understands a little bit more. He's still learning. He's one of our development guys, but he understands a little bit more like what's going on. So it was like, in the beginning, we knew it was going to be wild. It was like me, Isaiah, and Lance and Thomas were just going to try to like cover moves in the beginning, keep the speed up, and like obviously if I'm in the breakaway and we have representation in me that like a lot of times everyone chases. So
Yeah.
it was cool for me to kind of just go across to a couple moves and then get to sit and wait for it to come back. But the primary goal was to save Tyler and Corey for the end, and Lance is strong enough. We believe Lance is strong enough to like do the work in the beginning and then still be there at the end, which is how the race turned out for us.
Yeah, totally. Luke, well, what about you? So you've got to go up against some pretty big teams, and if you're a solo rider, what does that do for your strategy?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was more I wanted to be there at the end, and to do that, I kind of just had to cover stuff and be in it, because obviously pulling back stuff all day eventually wouldn't work.
Not
but
an option.
Being selective with what I was in and what I wasn't in, like if you guys were both in it, then I knew I had to be there, and kind of that mindset. And I was happy with a sprint, like taking my chances. Like the sprint is good enough for me with a little bit of an uphill that it was worth taking the risk. And it's a hard course to like try and go in with the mindset of, oh, I want to like ride away or be in a two-man group. It's just making the selection because, like Justin said, it's going to be hard all day with a NorCal road race, and you just got to make the selection when it gets hard enough that front group goes.
So did you have individual riders that you were picking, or you mentioned, you were looking to see if, Mike's and Legion were both represented up the road, or were you paying attention to like key players?
For sure, if Mike's and Legion were up the road, I knew I had to be there if they were happy with the combinations. Like I figured for sure Corey and Tyler would be like the main pick for Legion in the sprint. Like if it came to a sprint, it was for sure going to be Corey or Tyler. And I know Tyler's super strong. Like I trained with him enough to know that Tyler's amazing, and then Corey obviously can sprint. So for sure, if both of them were to move, I had to be there. And then if Mike's was there too, then make sure I was there. But
I actually saw Luke close this freaking amazing gap, dude. It was like during crunch time, and I think Tyler was up the road, and Luke. It was like you guys had representation. We had Tyler up the road, so it was like good for us. It was like 5 guys or something, and Luke had to take like a 3 or 4 minute like chop, like full, like didn't even look back. Like he just like he attacked. Everybody got on, and he just had to take this massive pull, and I was like, "Ooh, that hurt."
That one,
but he did it.
I looked at that one. Tyler was up there, Mike's was up there, and I hit the front, and I looked back, and like I think one of the Mike's guys was on my wheel, and I could like look down and see, and I was like, "Ooh, I got to go all the way," and so I rode myself into the ground to get there. And then I saw Tyler look back as I was coming, and then he went to the front of the move and like pulled it a little harder just to make sure I actually rode full gas to go across.
That's funny.
That was amazing.
That's funny.
That's incredible though. That's like one of those things where like there's certain guys that recognize that happening, right? Like that's a win or lose. If he doesn't chase that, that was the race.
Right.
So
totally.
it's like it's an incredible sense of tactics for you to be able to go, I have to give everything to close that and get that done, because most guys will still be like waiting around trying to ask other people for help. Like there's certain times in races where you
flicking an arm when it's
you got to do it.
Yeah. Jeff, what about us? Like we went into with clear strategy. You are pretty traditionally our sprinter on our team, but we also had a lot of other big players.
Yeah. So I was completely relaxed for like the first half of the race, and I was just trying to conserve as much energy as possible. So I was basically hanging out, Justin, with your brother Corey, just trying to like hang out and be it was a very good spot, and be very selective. I would follow things if they looked good, but otherwise,
I think that was actually like what we had like written in the race plan for Jeff. It was follow Corey and Justin and do less. Do less work than that.
It's actually a good plan.
And we weren't sure, because obviously, Justin, you're a phenomenal sprinter, and it's a race where it's like, depending on how it goes, you could be there at the end. Depending on how your fitness is, you could be there at the end. So like, I wasn't sure how you guys were going to play it, who your selected rider was going to be, but I saw you took a couple of really hard pulls early on, and I was like, okay, he is not saving his legs for the finish.
Good job. That's good recognition right there.
So then I just transferred right over to your brother's wheel, basically, and I was just hanging out and chilling, and that was different than your role, right, Chris? Yeah,
I mean, that's the other piece of our puzzle. We we have to give huge respect to you, Justin, and to Corey. I mean, like, you guys are two of the best sprinters in the country, right? Whether it's at the end of an hour-long crit or at the end of a 90-mile road race, it doesn't matter. Like, you guys are still going to be sharp. So, for the most part, we had Jeff being able to sit in, and his responsibility was to do nothing. It was to make sure he was with whatever that final move was, but the rest of our guys had to race it aggressively. And I think you guys probably had to see that. Luke, you had to chase some stuff back. Like, our goal was to just shred it. So at about the halfway point was when I was able to start riding, and so I just started attacking left and right through the center of the race. We had our big man. We've got a new guy named Brennan Wirtz that's on our team.
That's amazing.
He is strong.
He is enormous. He did something
he
like
rolled
500
across,
watts
like-
for 20. Oh,
Yeah.
no joke, right?
I watched him ride across. Like, we were in the field, the brake was like pretty much gone, and he was just like, "All right, guys, deuces." And Corey was like, "Hey, man, you know that big dude from Mike Spikes? He like came across to the breakaway. Where were you?" I was like, the way my legs are set up, there was absolutely no way I was making it across to that breakaway with that man.
Dude, in that specific instance, I think the break, I think it was 12 of us at the end of the race that ended up in the front move. But Brennan came across what I think was like a minute and 20-second gap. I was next to Tyler Williams right when he got there, and Tyler looked at me and went, "Where did he come from?" And it was just like, dude, I don't know. I'm afraid of him too. Why is he here? He's too scary. But like, those were the cards that we had to play. We had a couple of guys that are, big FTP riders, guys that can continue to attack, and we knew we needed to kind of focus on that. We needed to try to get you and Corey away, and we didn't. Luke, I hate to say it, but we didn't want to really sprint against you too. But like, it was one of those things where it was, we were trying to break up the race and get it to a much smaller group where we're going to have a better sprint and give Jeff the opportunity to sit in. All right, so we're going to pick up some racing here. It's 10K to go. I am attacking there. Thank you. That's my one time in the camera. Justin, what's happening here? Are you in this group? Who's in this group? And how did you guys get to this point in the race?
No, man, this is toward the end of toward the hard part of the race. I've done my job. We have the guys that we want represented in the breakaway. So I'm in the feed zone right now. Like, as a team, when you don't have a ton of, we don't have a ton of staff or anything. Like, we're pretty grassroots. So my job, as soon as I get dropped, the first thing that I'm thinking is like, oh, I don't know if these guys have enough bottles, right? So like, let me go to the feed zone to make sure that they have what they need. I did my job. Isaiah's done his job. Thomas has done his job. We have the guys we wanted to break away. And now you're seeing the guys that made the final selection, and this is the best part of the race, where everyone who made the right moves can now fight for the win.
Right. So who do you guys have in here? That we're on Jeff's camera, and we're looking at your brother Corey right now.
Yeah. So obviously we have Corey, who Jeff is glued to, and then we have Tyler Williams, and we have Lance Hayden.
Riding the edge of the road right there. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
There's like a
good
breath of
section.
crosswind. Yeah, there's just a tiny bit of crosswind, but you get every little opportunity you can to gutter people.
Exactly.
Sorry. So it's Corey, it's Tyler Williams,
and it's Lance Hayden.
Cool. And then Luke, how did you get in here? Did it just like kind of fold across? You're in this group as well.
Yeah, I made it in this group. I was dangling at the very back of it. It was after I took my kind of like 4-minute pull across to Tyler, and then when it kind of went on the climb, I was like the last guy dangling, but was able to like make it in the group and start riding. So
I'm pretty sure Tyler attacked me.
Yeah.
My own teammate. I'm pretty sure when the break formed, I took like a chop. I don't know if I was chasing you or with you, Chris, but then he came over the top on the climb, and I was like, great.
Well, it was super tough. Like, there was like, I felt like you guys, Legion, like you guys had a strategy of, let's make sure we get one of our sprinters there. And so with my responsibility of being, let's shred the group towards the middle of the race. I think I just went again. I ended up, I kept attacking a bunch, and I'd get someone that would come across. I had Lance on my wheel at one point that was just like, can't work, sorry. I had your brother on my wheel at one point, sorry, can't work. And like, I just felt like I kept attacking, and I'd get up the road, and I'd have every single time I'd be covered out by someone from Legion, and they'd be on my wheel just going like, not today.
it's perfect. It's sharing the workload, right? So like everyone's
Right.
sharing the workload. So like if you hit 10 times, right, and you get covered by, different guys on different occasions, then they're doing less attacking than you. So that when they need to do something later on, maybe you're shelled and they still have that one more effort that they need to get across or something. You just saw Corey go across where he was like,
Yeah.
He was like, oh, you guys are gonna sit back here. It's two teammates. It's one teammate, one Mike Spikes in front of me, one Mike Spikes behind me. I know you guys aren't gonna work. It's more beneficial for you guys to have him out of it. So he's just gonna like light across every time, and that's a tactic that we use where we know you guys can't do the maximum wattage we can do. So like we'll attack you guys and force you guys to do the same effort that we have to do to close that gap.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's like one of the big things. You guys have to try to keep us on our toes, and for us, it's like we're trying to get away whenever we can to make sure that we're making you guys do more consistent power than you want to do, right? And like in that, for you, Luke, then what? You're just surfing? Are there other guys in this group that you had pinpointed that were people to watch, or that you were concerned about getting up the road?
I mean, for me in this group, I'd pinpointed Tyler, Corey, Bassetti for sure. Like all those dudes were fast, and then I figured you guys, like with all three of them in the group, would want to get up the road. But as long as it was just you guys, and then Tyler, Corey, or Lance weren't there, I knew they would have to go eventually. So it was kind of just like seeing the combinations,
Bassetti, right?
and and even if Bassetti went, like he would kind of have to go, but I didn't want to fully rely on him because then he would be like, "Oh, you got it." Then it'd be like, I got it. And then we'd both end up having to pull. So it was more like right here, like that group, I knew there was enough guys in it to where it's easier for me to just jump right there than sit, and then everyone waits. And then eventually once the gap gets bigger and bigger, just the more work I have to do. So the quicker I can hop on that stuff, the easier for me.
Yeah, we're coming up to that super bumpy bridge that we were talking about earlier, but
I was calling it the Troll Bridge. The Troll Bridge is stealing people's bottles.
Right there.
I lost one first lap.
Oh, good. It's always tough right there. So I think right now is probably a good time to talk about Bassetti. Luke, you get to ride with Sam Bassetti a lot, and Sam is a pretty darn strong rider. I give him a ton of respect, but we're coming into the last 5K to go here, and Sam is about ready to attack. This is like the really, this is the one real climb on the hill, and Sam is about ready to punch it so hard. There we go.
Yeah, I mean,
Luke, you were on top of it, man. You saw that coming.
Yeah, he saw it coming.
I mean, I was looking back there knowing for sure Tyler or Sam would go right there. I knew for sure that one was coming, so...
This is such a hard effort.
That was a move. I was looking back and just waiting, and as soon as I saw some movement from them, I knew it was on.
I hate looking so
look
shelled
at
right there.
Look at how shattered it is. Look at how shattered it is, dude.
This is after like 80 something miles already, and just doing like a sustained 800, 900 watt effort up that hill. It just hurts so bad after being on the brake for 40 of those miles or something. Yeah, that was a tough effort. I mean, Bassetti punched everybody's ticket, including his own, I think. Like, everybody, once we got to the top of this little riser, we were all just kind of looked at each other. It was like, why did we do that?
After that?
Yeah.
Well, that was like a big thing. Like when he went, I joked that he went so hard that it just reset the race. Everybody had to get over the top. They had to put their head down and like call their mother and be like, all right, we're racing bikes again. It was such a hard dig. But that brings us kind of into the last little bit of it here. Did I just punch your brother?
No, you gave him a little.
That was a back slap.
It looked like it was a little bit of encouragement. Chris, what are you doing?
I respect all you guys. Right, I give him encouragement, and then I almost crash. So right here, I think Brennan is going, and so so Luke, what's happening there?
Yeah, so for me, as you can see, like the Mike's guy went, and then
Corey.
As soon as Corey responded quick, then I had to be on it, and then as soon as I went, Sam was like, "Ooh, I gotta go." So then all four of us come back, and then like once everyone's there, as you can see, we all just kind of coast back into the corner right here, and that's kind of like another reset.
Yeah, it was cool to see like Tyler had went with Sam the first time, and then Corey immediately covered the next move. It's like that's the kind of stuff that we try to preach to these guys, is that like you got to have your teammates back, right? Like Corey knows automatically if Tyler's up the road, he has to cover the next one. So like if he's at the front right now, I'm interested to see what he's doing, because I see Chris moving to the right side of the road. He's probably going to shoot right over because he wants to. It's getting close to the end. And I'm guessing he's already decided exactly. He moves right over to Chris's wheel. He's like, no, Chris, we're a thing. We're a couple. We're gonna stay together.
I want people
think
to.
Already. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want people to know that this road is extremely bumpy. The camera doesn't pick it up. The stabilization's good, but you guys know this road is like insanely bumpy.
Right. It's crazy.
Again, huge respect to Corey. Like, I hated it, though. He was on my wheel at every single step of the race, which, to what you're saying, like, that's exactly what you want. You know you're coming into this, and you guys have two cards to play. You've got Tyler, and then you've got Corey, who's going to have a hell of a sprint at the end. And, like, between those two, you guys are set up. But they need to split that workload to make sure that everything's coming in. For us, right. I think we had really been trying to shoulder a lot of the work to make sure that Brennan, who is the big guy on our screen right here, was going to be able to have a shot. We know, like, I think everybody in the race realized it. Like, he can do so much power that our biggest hope, I think, was to have Jeff be fresh for a sprint, but then to have Brennan try to get away and go solo, or solo or into a pair, or a small group that he could actually win from. So
yeah, for me right there, if you see, like, right as Corey went over to the right side of the road, Tyler dropped back, and I look back, and I see Tyler going to sit on the back. And so I drop back there, and then you see us, like, he goes to let me in, and I look over at him, and I was like, And then he went, and I got on him, like, because when he went straight to the back, I was like, oh, he's going to go for sure. Because he has Corey also in the group, so if he goes, they have the same idea of, like, Corey's still there to sprint if he gets caught.
Right, and even like just having that visual of Corey. Corey actually had pretty good legs at this point, from what he told me after the race.
I'd vouch for that. He looks great.
So, like, yeah, no, it's a perfect situation. It's a perfect case situation for us. We have our two fastest guys in a reduced group, and everyone's kind of cooked, right? Sam's cooking everybody. Chris has like been attacking for like the last 20 or 30 minutes. And
there goes.
And then there Tyler goes. Now this puts us in a great position because Corey can now sit on, and like someone has to tow him to the line now, and Tyler's up the road, so that's a beneficial position for us too. So best possible position we could be in this late in the race.
Yeah, Luke, this is always, it's both a bike racer's dream and a nightmare, right? You're now up the road. So just to recap, that group that went up the road is you, Tyler Williams, and our rider, Brennan Wirtz. So what are you trying to do up there, and how are you trying to position that? Do you think it's going to go to the line?
I mean, for me, it's a good and a bad situation. With 2K to go, like, I knew Tyler was going to go, and I have to go with him, because if I don't go, then I'm responsible for pulling it back. Like, as we're looking in the group, Corey's just waiting, and he's looking for another guy to go, because he doesn't have to go. And so I knew I had to be there, but then it's also, when I'm there, I'm also responsible, because both the other guys there don't really have to pull. They can be like, oh, well, like, Tyler's like, oh, Corey's back there, or you guys have Jeff back there. So for me, it's a hard situation. Like, I have to be there, but it's like, what do I do when I'm there?
Did you take any polls up there?
Yeah, so I was pulling through. We all were pulling through pretty hard until...
Come on, you would beat Tyler in a sprint.
Until one, I don't know, man. Not in those uphill sprints we've done. Let me tell you, we've done a lot of city limit sprints, and I don't know.
Tyler took us up to like
42
miles an hour. 42 miles an hour at Boise. So,
yeah,
I don't know, man.
Yeah, he's But so yeah, we're up there, and I mean, it was hard to say. Like, and then at 1K when we just stopped riding, and this group was coming fast, and we were looking at that, but also wondering if we wanted to ride to go. And for me to pull hard.
Right there, I mean, the reason that all started to come back, John Borstelman for Volair attacked from first wheel with Corey on his wheel, which is what is welding this together. So we're going to hit...
If you looked at it, you saw Corey let him go because Sam is still behind him.
Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't let
So-
Sam go though.
Yeah, so Sam's not going anywhere. But
And I'm
but
basically Corey's shadow. Like the only thing I can do is just stay in his draft right now and make sure that like I
So-
can still go toe to toe with him.
Last corner,
So last
400 to
corner.
go, and we're hitting that last little hill. I think Corey does one of the most brilliant things here. Whether he realizes it or not, he's got Jeff on his wheel and effectively just punches your ticket.
He
Closes
just
your
is
race
like
off.
done, and I'm like, oh
Nah,
man.
I'm done.
Yeah,
Close that
yeah.
gap. Just
You know
close
what?
that gap.
He told me after, he's like, he could have went for the race when he had the legs, but he's like, Tyler had good momentum, and obviously
Yeah.
he thought was the strongest guy in the race. So when Sam came by him, he had already been on the front through the corner, so he just knew that Tyler was gonna win. So he was just like, he's just like yelled at him to go, and then he ended Jeff's race by kind of opening that gap on that
Yeah.
climb. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, that pretty much shut it down. Luke, what was your like last half a kilometer there? How did you end up?
Yeah,
coming
so that
into-
group, like the group of three of us, they both stopped kind of, and I was like, oh, I'll ride the front, but I didn't want to ride hard because if I pulled into it, for sure Tyler would beat me. And so
Right.
I just kind of rode like semi-easy, and then as soon as there was the jump into the corner, I went and then was second into that corner and was like hoping I could wait with Brennan going, and he jumped. And
It's
then
a
like,
long sprint, right?
it's pretty long, and I was hoping I could like boost it a little bit on that last roller and have enough of the kick to hopefully not have anyone come over the top. And I didn't know who was behind me. I didn't know if Sam came in or Tyler was there or what. And so when I kind of went to sprint, and then Sam kind of came, and I was like, oh, we're good. And then we hit that little like roller dip, and Tyler just came with all the momentum, and I was like, we're not good anymore. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the last little bit for me with the sprint in the last
mentioned
corner.
The Voleur rider, he had like an incredible race, man. I think like to me, he was one of the I think he was also on his own, and I remember him being like, wow, this dude's riding like extremely well right now. So like,
I
shout out to
do
him.
believe that John Borstelman is the I might be getting this wrong. 2019 gravel
Yeah,
world champion.
he is. Yeah.
Yeah,
John's
he had
incredibly
a
talented.
good ride. Yeah, it was impressive. I was like, wow, this dude's like really good.
Yeah, super strong rider. Well, cool. I think that wraps it up. Luke, what was the podium? Recap that for us again. I know that's an important thing for you. That was an all Santa Rosa, Northern California podium.
Yeah, that was a Sonoma County as a whole podium. Definitely a win for Sonoma County, but Tyler won. I was second, and then Sam was third, and that was kind of the first big race for all of us. Like, we trained together all winter, and there's so much rivalry and hype behind kind of the three of us the whole time, and everyone's talking the whole off season, and then finally we all go out and all throw down in a NorCal road race when we can. So it was definitely good to get one out of our system, hoping we had many more, but obviously now we're kind of on pause. We're back to all just not training together and riding.
It's
but
off season, man.
Yeah.
it's off season.
It's off season again. Are we gonna race through the winter? They're just gonna move everything into the winter?
That's what I've heard. I heard that it's gonna go until like November.
Oh, man.
This race is getting scheduled for like October. It's gonna be pretty wild, man. I mean, I've done that before as a junior. I never used to take an off season. I used to just like ride easier, but I would still have track to keep my speed up. And we used to do like 3 group rides a week. So like, just you're always riding fast. So we didn't really do that. But now we take a little bit more of an off season to build that base. But I don't know, man. I might have to go to Australia for like the Bay Crits or something with all the film that I'm gonna have.
That'll be a good time for it. If we race through November, then all of a sudden you pop into January and you're just ready to rock again. So
Be sick.
well, cool. I think that wraps everything up. So Justin, thanks to you. Luke, thanks to you. For Jeff and I, it's been fun. I just want to call back one more time. Thanks again to Specialized as well. And remember, anything that you buy on the website right now is click and collect. It'll ship to your local dealer and make sure all the profits go back to supporting your local community. So thanks a lot, guys, and we'll catch you next time.